Yes, good evening, folks. I hope you all are having a wonderful Tuesday evening. This is New Year's Eve. Can you all believe it? We made it. We made it. 2025 has been an ebb and flow, as many of you know, and I'm sure you all probably feel the same. Um, I must say, 2025 brought in some good things, so I won't complain. With that being said, I like to caution you all to not take on more than you can. Don't bite off more than you can chew. All right. I know that there's plenty of us out here who are doers, and we tend to nurture others opposed to taking care of self first. So please, whatever you do, in your capacities, take care of self first and then help others. I'm not saying be selfishly self absorbed at all, but I'm saying be mindful to stay balanced. Okay? Our health is our wealth, as I always say. And, this past Christmas Eve was very interesting to say the least. I did have pretty much an uneventful Christmas, which was perfect for me with all that I've had going on. However, with that said, let's see, when I woke Christmas Eve morning, I noticed that my mother wasn't in her usual routine around the house. Usually she's, up and about. We co-own our home together, so I was wondering where's mom. I'm not seeing her. And then when I finally started moving about, I noticed that she was still in her bed. And I asked her, Mom, what's going on? And she couldn't even speak. It was more of a moaning kind of response. So immediately I start thinking, get dressed, shower, dress, and get to urgent care and or the emergency room. Well, I knew the day before she had been seen at Patient First in Columbia, and they had told her she had, checked for clearance or no COVID, wasn't bronchitis or any of that, no flu. However, within that short 24-hour period, my mother, when I took her to the emergency room, I just didn't play around with going to Patient First because of all the symptoms she was displaying, the heaving and the out of control and achy and the stuff that the flu comes with. So when we get to the emergency room, it's like a little late morning. And there was, some people there, but fortunately, it was moving, it was flowing. So, once we went through the process of being checked in and all the tests were done, lo and behold, she was diagnosed with the flu. Yeah, so needless to say, sitting there waiting on all of the exams to be completed because my mom, has a heart condition. So before releasing her, giving her permission, they wanted to be on the safe side. I'm sitting in like the waiting area in the back and I'm listening to all the yuck going on around me. And I'm thinking, these people who are employed in this emergency room need to be given the amount of pay that we invest in these entertainers in the world. They are on the front lines, folks. Half of them didn't even have masks on themselves. I'm like sitting up there covered, from head to toe and just trying to make sure I don't get any least little germ that's going on because, I mean, folks were coughing their hineries off. Um, it picked up, so people's patience was getting short. I'm not going to go into deeper details than that, other than the fact I heard the helicopter landing, and I could only imagine what that was for. So please, again, folks, take care of your health as you take care of others. Please be cognizant out here on what your body is telling you. You know, we have all these different changes going on with the CDC and the powers that be, and you know, I personally mask up. I do. And I'm glad because of the simple fact this time of year for me this year has been horrible with winter allergies. I didn't even know winter allergies existed until maybe 5 years ago. Maybe a little over that when I started seeing the ear, nose, and throat doctor on a consistent basis because I just didn't know what was going on with all the sinuses and carrying on. And when they had revealed it to me, I was like, wow, I knew for sure I had suffered in the past with spring allergies. But fall time as well, never really knew about winter allergies. So folks, it's bitter out there now. I know some people enjoy it, but those of us who are more tropic based like myself, and I'm not talking about any kind of race or color with that. Some people just love the tropics. I was out earlier at I forget the location I actually was at. I want to say it might have been Pizza Bowley's in Columbia, Maryland. And as I'm leaving out of the shop, the cashier was saying to me, "Whoo, you enjoy and stay warm out there." I said, "No, this is not my weather, but I will stay warm." "Me either. This is not my weather. I like the warmth." I said, "Then you're with me." That's how I feel. Let's hurry up and get through all this next 3 months that's yet to come. But I'm not trying to rain on anybody's parade who loves this time of year. Enjoy. But please, folks, keep hats on. You know, especially remind the youth because they think they're invincible. You know, a lot of times I have to remind my young one to keep his coat on because he'll holler, "I'm hot," with the quickness. And then the next thing you know, his nose is running, he's sniffling, and then he's coughing uncontrollably. Um, I also want to make sure folks are being aware of those who may not have proper shelter because of the weather temperatures right now. I know that there's some places that open up, like I don't know if the emergency room still does it now, but that was a concern when we did arrive the other morning that all of the homeless were vacated from the premises. So I just learned a lot just being there for the time frame that we were about what's going on, in and around Howard County in general. And it's not like yesteryear. For those of you who moved away, who've been gone more than 5 years, you'll come back and you'll feel like, whoa, a lot has transpired in the last 5 years in Columbia, not to mention the development of new buildings. So, once mom was able to be released, fortunately, the same day, when we left the emergency room, needless to say, it was jam packed. Babies were crying. The folks were trying to do the best they could with getting people seen in a timely manner. However, the staff, again, kudos to the staff, because they really, take care of other people and try to take care of themselves as well. I want to send a big shout out to the nurse who helped my mom. Her name was Zahara. Zahara, you and the staff who was on duty that day are lifesavers. I mean, you were magnificent from the time you took my mom back until we actually left the building. You had very much so made my mom, not only my mom feel comfortable, but me, because I was bringing a little bit of anxiety because I didn't know what to expect. So, again, thank you all. Thank you all for the comments that are showing, and I'm trying to read them without getting distracted. So, with that being said, next year, Saida's Orchid Room will be streaming live, okay? Because tonight is a recorded podcast again. So, again, I want you guys to check out my fan page on Facebook, and that's Saida's Orchid Room. You can see the actual channel, my YouTube channel, the link for it. I apologize, I don't have it handy right now at my fingertips. I said I would at the last podcast. However, I need to work on the channel. Just a heads up before you folks go and get a little, you know, concerned about how it's looking right now. So there will be changes made in 2026. As I said, this is the last for 2025, and it will be announced when we'll be returning in 2026. So please check us out on the channel, YouTube channel. Stay updated as well through Saida's Orchid Room on Facebook. And I'll keep you all updated if I do create any other platforms, social media networks, social media platforms. I'm stuttering. My coffee's leaving me. It's been a long day today, folks. It's been a long day. Not to go on sounding somber, but I actually was with my extended family today because we had to lay to rest one of my aunts who I was very close to. Her name was Otelia Nora Harrison. She was one of my favorite aunts who actually was very supportive and protective of me throughout the years. She will be sincerely missed. I was so elated to see my extended family today because we don't get to see each other as often as we used to yesteryear. And with that said, I wish and I pray that we will be able to be together more often without it having to be on these kind of notes. So I want to give a big shout out to my family. I love you all, and it was really nice seeing you all today. There were newer family members that I don't know, and I'm looking forward to getting to know. So, as we move further on into the program, I told you all last week that I would be bringing in and sharing my new, or I shouldn't say my new, but this was the vision board I used for this year. And I'll go into details about what all I put on this one on the second half of the podcast. And just going to reiterate that during the break, you guys, please check out the new audiobook for February. Okay, I think you really will find it enjoyable. I am going to be in the process of creating a new audiobook of poetry. So I'm looking forward to that. And again, at all times, please feel free to send me any feedback because your feedback is what helps me to master my craft. And with that being said, I'm wondering how many of you out there did baking over the holiday? Mm. I didn't have the amount of time to invest in baking this year like I did yesteryear. I cheated. I always cheat. Like, I'm not good baking from scratch. So I just go to whatever little store I'm at and go to the little frozen section. I give it up, get the little, rounded cookies, and then I put them on the sheet and just put them in the oven for a good, 15 minutes. They're done. Delicious. However, there are some people who just take pride and time to invest their love in making homemade cookies. Let me show you what my friend made for me and some other friends and family. I can't wait, but baby, I can't wait. Excuse me. I'm going to tear into them. Melvin, what we looking like on time? I told y'all, these winter allergies are not my friend. So with that being said, we're going to take a break. And we'll be back shortly. Yay, and we're back. So, right before the break, we were discussing audiobooks. Let me ask you, do any of you know what this is? Yeah, I know. It has the name on here. So, one of the things I enjoy doing is going to the Howard County Library and looking through different titles on their displays that they have usually in the front of various themes. Okay, books with similar themes each month. So if I find something interesting on the display table, I'll then take the book over to the librarian if I don't see an audio book, with it, and ask if it's on the shelf. So for those of you, again, who do enjoy audiobooks, I know now they have Libby and a whole bunch of other things that you can listen to online, your ebooks. I have I drive a 2016 Ford Fiesta, so I still have a CD player. And I don't have my Bluetooth set up. So because of that, I go and I check out these audiobooks that you can still get on CD. The genres are numerous. I particularly love anything from fiction. I prefer fiction mainly, whereby drama and suspense is good. But this book that I'm reading now is called A Happy Place, and basically the main character is with a group of friends, and she and her fiance have broken up. And the group of friends have invited them all together at one of the friends' homes. I think the friend's name is Sabrina. Sab is what they call her. Because Sab's father, who's remarried, is selling the family's home. The group that gets together, it's a group of 6, Sab and her sister and their mates, along with the main character. It's funny because I remember the girlfriend's name and can't remember the main character's name right now. It's something really unique. I can't think of it right now, but she's just like trying to go back to her happy place, which is this friend's home. And she agrees to go because when the friend invited her, it was, not stated that the fiance also was going to be along in the trip. I'm not going to go too deep in the book, but it's very interesting how she declares her happy place and all that arises in trying to be there. So I like those kind of books because I'm actually on that journey now to just keep happiness at the forefront, not allowing anything nor anyone to steal my joy. The second audiobook that I have is okay, I'm sorry. The first one, A Happy Place, is by Emily Henry. Okay. This is probably maybe the fourth audiobook I listened to this year. I was trying to have a list of the audiobooks together that I've read or listened to so far this year for you all, but I didn't get that in order yet. So on a podcast in the future, I'll let you guys know some other ones that I've listened to in case you want to check them out. This one here is called Expiration Dates. I have yet to begin listening to this. I just got these maybe a week ago. So I'm just like in the middle of A Happy Place. But as soon as I finish listening to that, I'm going to listen to Expiration Dates. The title alone speaks to me. I'm not going to go into reading what the book is about, but I can only imagine. This is by Rebecca Searle, and she is also the best-selling author of the book called In 5 Years. So these rang out to me, spoke to my heart because of the titles. The expiration dates is because of the simple fact, going into the new year, there's some things I'm going to put an expiration date on as of tomorrow. It's not going to go into 2026. So, yeah, like, I don't know exactly the genre you would consider these books, but even though they're fiction, they inspire me. Because of the character's willingness to, first and foremost, be balanced within. And most of the characters I find something in common with. So there's a lot more that I've listened to this year that absolutely was enjoyable. I can't remember the actual authors, but one in particular that keeps coming to the forefront of my mind that I highly recommend you listening to is called A Happy Life. A Happy Life. That book was incredibly interesting. I just enjoy audiobooks because of the simple fact some of the morals are just so profound, and it doesn't matter the setting. Most of the books that I listen to always have individuals who think outside of the box. They're not just your everyday people that you meet who just tries to get in and fit in, and that's a lot of that going on in today's age. Unfortunately, there's more clones opposed to people being their own individual authentic selves. So yeah, I always turn the radio off after a good 15 minutes in the car and tune into different worlds as I'm on the road so that I don't get too overwhelmed with traffic. Okay. So doing all that kind of stuff is what keeps me at peace and helps me not to feel overwhelmed. And as I told you all before, I was going to share my vision board from this year. One of the other things I started doing within the past year is a project that I call my imperfect art. I'm not an artist by no means, but I do enjoy creating my art. So maybe during future podcasts, I'll share some of that with you. But again, it's imperfect art because I'm not an artiste that draws and, paints and all that good stuff. I just kind of do whatever comes to mind. And if it looks good at the end and I'm proud of it, then I'll maintain it for a minute and maybe even show it off to friends. But this one here is my 2025. I decided when I was creating it to make it in a heart shape to remind myself of love. And if you all remember, the 2024 was just regular shape. So I put a little more effort, I think, into creating this one and trying to make it more unique than being a repeat of 2024. So some of the things, or what I have on here, just like with the prior vision board that I created, I took different cards. Well, not as many cards with this one, but this was a card that I received, and I put it in the middle. Some are stickers that I bought. Some are little press-on letters, and then others are just words that I use to keep myself encouraged on a daily basis. And at the top you see family, diamond. This small one here is victory. I have my initials. I have the sun, because stay in the light, you all. And then with that being said, I have a picture of the light. I want to stay physically fit, and I'm doing good with that because I just saw my primary care last week. She informed me that I lost 12 more pounds. Woo-wee, victory. Mahogany is actually one of the card companies that I like to purchase when I give cards to friends and family. Freedom, hope, library, go figure. If those of you who know, I have a lovey cat, so I had to put my little pet face up there. That's not her though. The word encouragement. I always strive to be different. Okay. Just like we have the sun now, you always gotta have the moon. Okay. Those of us who are into the powers of masculine and femininity, you will know that the sun is masculine, okay, and the moon is feminine. From the dark comes the light, okay, and just a little history on that. With certain cultures, back in the 5th millennium, women were the rulers at the time. Certain parts of Africa where women were of a certain enlightened status, when a man displayed that, he understood that spiritual awareness as well, he would evolve. So a lot of times back in that millennium, the third and fifth millennium, third through fifth millennium, again, it was not the men who were the rulers at the time. At the time, women were highly respected in Africa because they were a symbol of the earth, the mother, as they called the earth, right? And the earth is a microcosm. I'm not saying not microcosm, but is viewed as one of the children, if you will, of the universe, right? So if we come in from the mother, which is feminine, the darkness, okay, Females give birth to life. I'm not going on deeper. That's a topic for another podcast. Because a lot of stuff that we're taught and conditioned to believe in today's society is contradictory. Anyway, so let me come away from that because I'm not trying to offend anyone here. So then on the side, I have abundant life. One of the other words that I used for this year's mantra was manifest. So one of the things I'm always aiming to manifest is an abundant life. Abundant life is more than just based on money and or material wealth. It's about your fortune, how blessed and highly favored you are. Okay. But that's not to say money don't matter. Sure is money. Friends, blessed. Down at the bottom here, I have little fun stickers that I found. I'm always keeping little things, when people send you stuff in the mail, your little free arts and crafts. I look through to see what might be interesting that I could use. So these are little stickers that was sent through the mail over the summertime. This one here says party. One down the bottom says vacation. Over here is faith. And the faith that I practice is Nichiren Buddhism, SGI, USA. And so this is one of the cards that we offer when we tell others about Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. And that's the word that you see here. This is another fun thing I enjoy doing. I savor the sweetness of life. I have to tell myself that over and over, especially when I allow certain things out of my control to get the best of me. Years ago, we had a youth festival within my religious community, and it was called the Rock the Era Festival, and in which the theme was that one precious youth. If there's just one youth that you are able to help mentor positively, that helps them to move forward, and also pay back by helping someone younger than them. So each youth is precious, regardless of current circumstances. This one is passport because your girl's going to be traveling next year, period. I'm going to get away much more than I did this year. I always remind myself to stop and smell the roses. A star is what we all are because we come from the universe, God, Jah, Allah. Music is my favorite. It's all about our future, folks, okay? And over here is just another word that's similar to abundant life, fortunate, as I mentioned before. I'm an author, so I have author works. Again, another card from within my Buddhist community that says Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. Buddhist, the main thing that we propagate is individual happiness so that world peace will permeate the earth. So, last but not least, I always remind myself to be thankful. In being thankful, you get more blessings. So, I try to keep that at heart, especially when I'm out there on the highway and someone just cuts me off. I gotta remind myself of who I am. And then when I get home, this is an extra reminder for myself. This to me is a mirror. Same way we look in the mirrors to see if our faces are looking good. I have this in my, on my wall as a mirror to make sure I'm checking myself, to make sure I'm remembering that I'm a diamond, and as a diamond, I'm out here to help others. It's not just about self. And I know that's what's being propagated out here. So with that said, folks, I want us to do better in 2026 as a nation. No one man or female, man or woman is an island. Okay? And when you are dealing with others, just remember, when you're looking at folks that may be, older than you, that could be your mom, that could be your grandmom. Likewise, that could be your dad, your granddad. Let's have some respect out here. It's just too much disrespect for life that is abound right now. I'm sure some of you may have heard, switching away from the vision boards conversation, I want to talk about something very serious because it was brought to my attention, and I should have mentioned this in the first half, but some of you may know about the family that opened up the door to delivery people that posed as UPS deliverers. Folks, please don't go to your doors if you don't have to. Please invest in your cameras. Yes, have your self-protection at all times, whatever that protection may be, especially women, regardless of age. It's not important. The important thing is to be vigilant at all times. If you're able to afford any type of self-defense classes, by all means, invest in them. And once you do, teach others. I personally like to keep my pepper spray with me because I want you to back the up off me. Don't come close. Oh, well, June, why don't you get a gun? That'll make sure somebody don't come close. Saida, if you had a gun, you'd make sure. Well, see, I got the kind of temperament that's not good to have a gun. So this is why I'm showing you what I use instead. Some of you out there love guns. I personally do my best to refrain. This here is my friend. I'm going to introduce you to my little friend. Okay? Did you see that coming? You ain't see that coming. So invest yourself in little itty bitty, as I like to call them, zibba zibba zits. Tasers. Okay? You need to make sure at all times you are able to protect yourself, especially those of us who are more mature. I think about it each and every day. I'm not as strong as I used to be. Period. Back in the day, it wasn't as rampant as it is now, with having to be mindful of where you are, even in your own home. Trouble will find you. Those folks knocked on those people's doors that was safe and secure in their home, all because of their greed, all because of their lack and disregard for life. We gotta wake people up out here, folks. It's too rampant. Okay? Even when people have valid reasons because they're hungry, it doesn't give you the right to hurt others. All of us got something we hurting about out here. Okay? But that don't give us a right to go out and hurt another person. We have to change that mindset. Matter of fact, I'm trying not to go on rambling too much, Melvin. But as I walked in tonight, I asked Melvin, what did he think about the song F the Streets by 21 Savage? Because I'd briefly seen something before I rove. What's the word? Before I got here tonight. And it was interesting to me because I'm with that. I've been with that. F the streets movement. When I first realized how many celebrities were selling their souls because it was in. Now, the duality of that conversation is that the young man propagates violence with the type of music he promotes. So I'm not going to go too deep on this topic tonight, but in a future podcast, I want to go further in discussing old school rap versus today's hip hop. How it changed and why it changed. These young artists out here that are hip hop in the hip hop industry field are being set up more so than any other artist. The setup is that there are private jails, the industry, private prisons that are purposely promoting the rap that causes people to lose their minds. We were supposed to be on track in the 90s. Compare the rap music in the 90s that talked about unity. UNITY. What you heading for? Self-destruction. You're heading for self-destruction. Right? Now what they talking about? A yip yop diddy bop in his head, and after that I'm going in the bed. When I get in the bed, I'm gonna lose my mind, create more kids, and then I'm going back out in the streets and act like I know how to live. But in fact, I don't give a shit about nothing. Not even myself. I'm programmed that way. I'm the strongest ninja. The saddest thing that's happening right now is something that the Honorable, I want to say the right name, Minister Farrakhan has said, is that black people refer to themselves as niggas. When just 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we wasn't calling each other that. Nah, that became a phenomenon when all that gangster rap came about, and yeah, you know, let's promote the streets so we can get away from black excellency. The crap they're calling black excellency today is just glorifying pimps and hoes, yo. It's real talk. So I'm glad 21 Savage, with his young self in his 20s, has put that message out there. That's his real self talking. That music and stuff that he's, you know, regurgitating is his job. When you see artists speak out that like that, especially them young brothers, the YNs as they trying to call them, I don't like that. Y'all not YNs. You're young kings. You're young brothers. Behave like it. You're young women. You're young sisters. Why do we choose to go with the most degrading terminology in this culture? Because other people classify us as that. That's self-hatred, folks. It's self-hatred. I need more young people to tune in. I want more young people, Melvin, next year to know about Saida's orchid worm so we can get some real dialogue going on out here. Okay? Because ignorance ain't bliss, babies. Running around carrying guns, high off drugs may sound like fun. Please believe it's a setup. They got to fund these private prisons. Fortunately, the truth is exposed now. Thank goodness to good old social media. The same thing they created to manipulate folks is the same thing that's going to come back and bite them in the hind parts and destroy them. Secrets are being revealed now, folks. That's what happened over this past 30 years. Okay? There were deals behind closed doors with record labels and these private owners of prisons to get us straight there. That's the only way we gonna stop them. Okay? But in fact, it always circles back around and bites them in the ass. Those who are first shall be last. The last shall be first. And y'all can say, nah, you only saying that. Your status, your woman, your complexion. Y'all better wake up out here. It's not about none of that no more. That was yesteryear rules to keep the sheep under control. Wake up, folks. Let's unite. When these young people start speaking contradictory of their actions, it's because they got some kind of spiritual awareness to them and secretly communicating that they're only doing this role because it's their job. Okay? Let's rise up. We gonna be better than that in 2026. So I hope you all stay warm. I hope you all stay safe. I hope you all stay happy. I hope you all stay blessed. And more than that, I hope you all will continue to keep your minds right. I hope y'all enjoy your evenings. I hope y'all have some sweets. Good night now. Happy 2026.